Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari 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 Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Yasodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jamunatiravanachari Jakunja Bihari Jamunatiravanachari Jakunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja 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 Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Yasodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Yasodanandana Jaya Brajajanaranjana Jamunatiravanachari Jakunjabiyani Jamunatiravanachari Jakunjabiyani Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Astotarasara Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Radhakund Shamakund Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Gangamaya Jamunamaya Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtana Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Nitai Gauda Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 8. The chapter is entitled The Character of Bharat Maharaj, and we're reading text number 16. So, because these verses are there's not really any meter for it. So what I'll do is we'll just go through the word for word, and then we'll read the translation and purport. Api, indeed, but alas, sa, that calf, vai, certainly, kripanaha, aggrieved, ena balaka, the dear child, mritaharini sutaha, the calf of the dead doe, aho, oh, mama, of me, anaryasya, the most ill-behaved, Sata of a cheetah, Kirata or of an uncivilized aborigine, Mate, whose mind is that, Akrita Sukritasya, who has no pious activities, Krita Visrambaha, putting all faith, Atma Pratyayena, by assuming me to be like himself, Tat Aviganayan, without thinking of all these things, Sujana Iva, like a perfect gentle person, Agamishyati, will he again return? Translation, Bharat Maharaj would think, alas, the deer is now helpless. I am now very unfortunate, and my mind is like a cunning hunter, for it is always filled with cheating propensities and cruelty. The deer has put its faith in me, just as a good man who has a natural interest in good behavior forgets the misbehavior of a cunning friend and puts his faith in him. Although I have proved faithless, will this deer return and place its faith in me? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Bharat Maharaj was very noble and exalted, and therefore when the deer was absent from him, he thought himself unworthy to give it protection. Due to his attachment for the animal, he thought that the animal was as noble and as exalted as he himself was. According to the logic of Atmavan Manyate Jagat, everyone thinks of others according to his own position. Therefore, Maharaj Bharat felt that the deer had left him due to his negligence, and that due to the animal's noble heart, it would again return. Om Aganatimirandhasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Malitam Jaina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master is kindly forcing open my eyes with the torchlight of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Hare Krishna. So, I was requested to speak a little bit about myself. My name is Prananatha Das, and I come from New Zealand. So who's heard of New Zealand? Nobody? New Zealand. Huh? Nobody's heard of New Zealand. You have? Who's heard of cricket? Or the Lord of the Rings? Anyway, New Zealand is a very, very long way away from India. It's almost near Antarctica. So I was born in a little town called Oamaru. So from birth I was chanting Om. And in New Zealand we have some interesting place names. On the west coast there's a town called Hari Hari. And near Auckland there's a place called Rama Rama. So the original dialect of New Zealand is Maori. And actually Maori, the Maori language, is pronounced the same way as Sanskrit. There's a lot of similarities. Many years ago, Atmatattva Prabhu came to Christchurch, and he told that the Maori people actually originally came from India. So that was very interesting. So there's some connection there with India. So I was born in a small town called Oamaru, and I first met the devotees in Christchurch in 1982. At that time we had a temple in Christchurch, and a friend of mine who'd been going to the temple, he said, "Oh, come along, we're going to go to the Hare Krishna Sunday feast." And I had absolutely no idea about anything about Hare Krishna. So I went along to the Sunday feast, and I remembered it was very noisy and loud, the kirtan, and I remember somebody sat up and spoke for what seemed like hours, and I could hardly understand a single word. And then we had this feast afterwards, and everything tasted really unusual. So that was my initial experience of devotional life, of the Hare Krishna movement. It was something I was completely unfamiliar with. So what happened was a little later than that, 1983, I travelled to England, and one day I was travelling on the tube station in England with a friend, and I was approached by a lady, and she said, "Would you like if the world was a more peaceful place?" And so I immediately said yes. And so she brought out some books, and my friend said, "Oh, don't listen to her, she's a Hare Krishna." And so I thought, oh, Hare Krishna, oh, there's some connection there with my friend from New Zealand. And she had a magazine. I don't know how it happened, but she had a magazine, and the magazine was about ISKCON in Australia and New Zealand. And so she was showing me this magazine, and it had these beautiful pictures of New Govardhan Farm, which is a 1,000 acre farm on the Gold Coast of Australia. Beautiful farm. And all these pictures of the devotees so happy, and all the beautiful surroundings, and the children riding on the cart and all looking very happy, and it was just so attractive. So anyway, I took that. She gave me a couple of small books, and I took them and started reading them. And in the back of the book, of course, there's an address. And I was wondering, how can I find out more? And so I found out about the Bhaktivedanta Manor. It wasn't very far from where I was staying, the Bhaktivedanta Manor. And so in November 1984, I went to the Bhaktivedanta Manor to visit. And I just went for one day. So I had a nice experience. The first person I met at the door was a devotee called Kripa Moya. And Kripa Moya, he's now initiating guru. He's a grihasta, but he's initiating guru in ISKCON. Wonderful devotee. And so he greeted me at the door with some other devotees, and then they asked if I was hungry. And I said yes. So they bought me a huge plate of halava. Like a mountain. And I ate this whole plate of halava, and then I think they offered me more seconds. So I can't remember if I took seconds or not. Anyway, that was my first experience. So one weekend I went for the day, and then the following weekend they invited me back to stay in the ashram. And so I went on Friday, and I stayed Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. So I had like a weekend experience. And then the following weekend, I moved into the temple. I found it was so nice, such a nice experience, so I moved into the temple. And the people I was living with at the time, this lady, I remember, she was warning me. She was saying, this Hare Krishna mantra, she's saying, it's too powerful. It just makes people go crazy. So, which is true, but it makes people go crazy in a good way. So anyway, she was warning me not to go. But anyway, I went, and I had a nice several weeks. I think I was there, staying at the Bhaktivedanta Manor. and Hare Krishna, and I had they gave me the service of delivering oil paintings. Back then we used to do a lot of what we used to call paraphernalia sankirtan, and devotees would buy paintings from Hong Kong, and then they would have devotees going out to sell them, and then the person would say, yeah, I want to buy this painting, and so the painting would be taken back to like a warehouse, and it would be framed in this beautiful frame, and then I had the job of driving around London, which I'd never been to London before. I was on my own. We didn't have GPS in those days, so I was driving all over with a map, finding my way all over London, spending like a whole day going and delivering 2 or 3 paintings. So then I went back to New Zealand in mid-January 1985, and as soon as I got back, I searched out, where's the temple, because in the time that I'd been away, the 2 years that I'd been away to England, the temple had moved. It was now at a location called 83 Beeley Avenue. So anyway, I went along to the Sunday feast, and it was a very nice experience. The temple was packed with people, and we had this amazing kirtan and the feast and everything. So by that time I was much more comfortable with the Hare Krishna lifestyle, and I started coming to the temple every day. I lived out of Christchurch, and I bought a little motorbike, and I was just driving every day, and we were getting the temple ready for the official opening, which was the 6th of January 1986. So that whole year we had a lot of work. We were putting out wallpaper and building and painting and getting the place ready. So it was a wonderful experience. So since my early age, maybe about 8 years old, I've had an interest in photography, and I was actually inspired also by my grandfather, who had a 16mm film camera, and he used to make home movies, and we as a family would all get together and he would show these movies on the screen. And so as a young boy I was very captivated by this, even though they weren't edited or anything. It was just whatever he filmed, that was put up. I can't even remember if there was sound. Maybe they were just silent movies. I can't remember. It was so long ago. So anyway, when I was 15 years old, I started working, and I bought myself my first camera. It was back then nothing was digital. It was film, and there was a roll of film, a cassette that you put in the camera, and you could only film for 3 minutes. That was it. You had 3 minutes. And then once the cassette was finished, I had to take it, I had to post it to Sydney to get it processed from Australia. And so I didn't see it for like 3 or 4 weeks, this 3 minutes. And you just imagine the difference with what we've got now. And now you just pull out your phone and you can shoot in 4K for half an hour, and immediately you can see it, you can upload it, you can have people all over the world looking what you filmed. So technologically, the film industry has rapidly advanced. So when I was a young boy, when I was 9, I was in Oamaru, and my friend and I, we made this plan that it was like a work shed, and we were going to find out what was inside. So we broke into the shed. It was a builder's shed, and we broke into the shed, and there was all this workman's tools and all these amazing things, and we were just looking around, little boys, curious, and we found these boxes of these copper, little cylindrical copper things, and they looked really attractive. And so I took a whole box of 100 of these back home, and there were some also that had wires attached to them. And as a young boy, 9, how old are you? 12, okay, so I was 3 years younger than you. So I was looking at these copper cylinders with wires, and I thought it's some kind of electrical plug. You know, you connect it to a battery and you poke it into something and it makes it go. So I got this thing and I put it on the floor and I attached a battery to it, and what I didn't know was it was a detonator. And so what happened was it exploded, it blew a hole in the floor, and I got some shrapnel in my right eye. And of course my parents were completely freaked out. They found out, they raced home and they took me to the doctor, and the doctor examined me and he said, oh, he has to go to this big town, which was 1.5 hours away. He has to go there and have surgery because there's something has entered into his eye. So I went to Dunedin Hospital and I was there for 3 weeks, and they did all kinds of surgery and different things. And when I came out of the hospital, I still had vision in this eye, but it was very blurry. But in the course of the next couple of years, I had a couple of I was hit in the eye. I was hit in the eye by a softball, and one day I got into an argument with somebody and he whacked me on the side of my head. And what happened was that the retina became detached in my eye and I slowly went blind. So I lost the sight in this eye at the age of 13. And then what happened was because there was some copper from the detonator had gone into my eye, the copper started reacting with the fluid in the eye, and then after some time I was experiencing a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort. And so what happened was when I was 19 I had surgery and that eye was taken out. So this is a artificial eye. So even though my main activity is filming, it's visual things, everything's done with just one eye. So it's like having a handicap but persevering anyway, because that's what I wanted to do. So anyway, when I joined ISKCON, I remember I went to India in 1986. I got initiated in September 1986. My spiritual master is Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami. And on my way to India, I stopped in Singapore and I bought a video camera. And so I went to India and I just started filming all the lectures, and I started filming the deities, and I just started everything I could film. I just filmed everything. So then over the years, I've invested a huge amount of my personal income in cameras and editing equipment and all kinds of other things. And now, of course, I've got this drone, which some of you might have seen. I'm flying around. So my whole goal with this cinematography is to try to use it in Krishna's service and try to produce films that are very beautiful and they're inspiring people. And a lot of my films are music videos, so it doesn't matter what language a person speaks, they just the music is like the language, right? So the music carries them through. It's like the script, the storyline. So anyway, I developed a technique of filmmaking, and I've produced a lot of films over the last 30 years. The latest one was just released on Gorpanim Day, and if you go to the TOVP website, tovp.org, there's a banner picture, I think, at the top, and then there's 3 videos, and the one on the left, unless they've moved it, is TOVP Update 2016. So that was the latest the latest film that I released. So that's been my main service. I have a son in New Zealand. He's 23. His name's Krishnadas. And currently he's studying to be a nurse. He's doing a 3-year course in nursing. And his girlfriend, she is studying to be a chiropractor. So they're both in the field of health, caring for people. So it's very nice. So he's a wonderful. My son is a very wonderful mridanga player, and he's a very good kirtanier as well. He loves singing, and he's often invited to play drum because when he was a baby, when he was young. I had been to America, and I'd been to Laguna Beach, and I happened to be in Laguna Beach on Gorpanim Day. I think this was 1990, and Agni Dev was singing, and Agni Dev sang for about 3 hours, and I filmed the whole thing. And when I got back to New Zealand, and when my son was born, so I would show him this video of Agni Dev. And just by watching Agni Dev, that's how he learned to play the drum. And he could play the drum when he was 1 year old. He could play kartals in time when he was 1 year old, just from watching the video. And another series of videos he loved to watch was Cooking with Korma. So, and he would watch these 2 videos, Cooking with Korma and Agni Dev, every day for hours and hours until he was old enough to go to school. And he'd seen these videos so many times that Korma would be giving an instruction on how to do a recipe, and my son would be saying what he was saying before he said it. He'd memorized the whole thing. He'd seen it so many times. So he's actually a very good cook too. So, which is encouraging for me as a filmmaker, because it shows that when children see devotional films, they absorb a lot of that. They take it on, and that remains with them throughout their devotional life. So, and now I'm working with Sridham Prabhu at the back there. So we're producing a new type of film. It's called Full Dome, and a full dome theatre looks like a planetarium. So it's just like you've got this big circular picture on the ceiling. So the dome is like a big circle, half circle. And you go in and you basically lie back and you're looking up at this huge screen. So it's a very different kind of filmmaking to what I've been doing all these years, but Sridham is encouraging me, and I've only ever once seen a film in a dome, and that was in Mayapur, but I'm looking forward to what we produce and seeing that in the dome. So that's enough about me. So this whole section in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bharat Maharaj, it's talking about a person who was actually very advanced in devotional service, and somehow or other, by the arrangement of the material energy, you can say, he got distracted from his devotional life, and he became completely absorbed in a deer. And these verses we're reading here, we're hearing about what Bharat Maharaj was thinking in his communication with the deer. Like here we're thinking that Bharat Maharaj thinks the deer is more noble than he himself. So this is actually a kind of illusion that he's in. The deer doesn't have any kind of developed intelligence like a human being. The animal species of life, they are very much under the control of the material energy. They don't have the same freedoms that a human being has. They don't have the capacity to understand about spiritual life. And so as a result of Bharat Maharaj's absorption in the deer, at the time of his death, he was thinking about the deer. And then as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam chaja chante kalevaram. So whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. So actually this whole section of the Srimad Bhagavatam is very much instructive. It's instructive for us. Bharat Maharaj, he didn't have a society like ISKCON, a very structured society like ISKCON, where basically you can just walk in the door and you can just take up the process of spiritual life very easily. Everything is there. The infrastructure's there, the deities are there, all the mantras are there, the songs are there, the prasadam's there, the activities are all there. It's Bharat Maharaj had a very like a skeletal framework of this kind of institution that we have today. So as I was reading about Bharat Maharaj, it reminded me about one verse in the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Tate nukampan susamikshamanam bunjana evatma kritam vipakam. So this is Srila Prabhupada has translated this in different ways. One time he translated it that due to my past sinful activities, I was meant to suffer so much, but you, dear Lord, are mitigating that suffering and giving me just a little. So this is like a synopsis of the, you can say, the actual translation of the verse. But what it shows is that Krishna is actually very kind. Srila Prabhupada would often say that the way a devotee thinks is that when things are going bad and when the devotee is suffering, the devotee is actually thinking, well, I should be suffering 100 times more. I should be suffering so much. But Krishna is just giving me a little bit, just to remind me. Just like a few days ago, I was out here taking photos, and I stepped back, and I stepped over the step, and I fell down on the steps, and I got bruises all over. And actually, the first thing I thought was, I should have suffered so much more. I was actually thinking that. I was thinking, this is just a teeny little, maybe you were supposed to be in a car crash and, lose a couple of limbs or something, or be disabled for life. But Krishna's just giving you a little reminder, a little wake-up call. So the actual translation of the verse reads, My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. So I just wanted to read the purport. Srila Sridhar Swami explains in his commentary that just as a legitimate son has to simply remain alive to gain an inheritance from his father, one who simply remains alive in Krishna consciousness, following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, automatically becomes eligible to receive the mercy of the personality of Godhead. In other words, he will be promoted to the kingdom of God. The word susamikshamana indicates that a devotee earnestly awaits the mercy of the Supreme Lord, even while suffering the painful effects of previous sinful activities. Lord Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that a devotee who fully surrenders unto him is no longer liable to suffer the reactions of his previous karma. However, because in his mind a devotee may still maintain the remnants of his previous sinful mentality, the Lord removes the last vestiges of the enjoying spirit by giving his devotee punishments that may sometimes resemble sinful reactions. The purpose of the entire creation of God is to rectify the living entity's tendency to enjoy without the Lord, and therefore the particular punishment given for a sinful activity is specifically designed to curtail the mentality that produced the activity. Although a devotee has surrendered to the Lord's devotional service, until he is completely perfect in Krishna consciousness, he may maintain a slight inclination to enjoy the false happiness of this world. Does anybody here have a slight inclination? I think we do. I do. This unhappiness suffered by a sincere devotee is not technically a karmic reaction. It is rather the Lord's special mercy for inducing his devotee to completely let go of the material world and return home back to Godhead. A sincere devotee earnestly desires to go back to the Lord's abode. Therefore he willingly accepts the Lord's merciful punishment and continues offering respects and obeisances to the Lord with his heart, words, and body. Such a bona fide servant of the Lord, considering all hardship a small price to pay for gaining the personal association of the Lord, certainly becomes a legitimate son of God, as indicated here by the words Daya Bhak. Just as one cannot approach the sun without becoming fire, one cannot approach the Supreme Pure, Lord Krishna, without undergoing a rigid purificatory process, which may appear like suffering, but which is in fact a curative treatment administered by the personal hand of the Lord. So this very nicely explains what is written a little further in verse number 26, where Srila Prabhupada states, okay, maybe I can read this purport as well. As will be seen in later verses, Bharat Maharaj at the time of death would be forced to accept the body of a deer due to his attraction for the deer. In this regard, a question may be raised. How can a devotee be affected by his past misconduct and vicious activities? In Brahma Samhita it is said, Karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. For those engaged in devotional service, bhakti bhajan, the results of past deeds are indemnified. According to this, Bharat Maharaj could not be punished for his past misdeeds. The conclusion must be that Maharaj Bharat purposefully became over-addicted to the deer and neglected his spiritual advancement. To immediately rectify his mistake, for a short time he was awarded the body of a deer. This was just to increase his desire for mature devotional service. Although Bharat Maharaj was awarded the body of an animal, he did not forget what had previously happened due to his purposeful mistake. He was very anxious to get out of his deer body, and this indicates that his affection for devotional service was intensified, so much so that he was quickly to attain perfection in a Brahmana body in the next life. And then Prabhupada says, it is with this conviction that we declare in our Back to Godhead magazine that devotees like the Goswamis living in Vrindavan, who purposefully commit some sinful activity, are born in the bodies of dogs, monkeys, and tortoises in that holy land. Thus they take on these lower life forms for a short while, and after they give up these animal bodies, they are again promoted to the spiritual world. Such punishment is only for a short period, and it is not due to past karma. It may appear to be due to past karma, but it is offered to rectify the devotee and bring him to pure devotional service. So just like any loving parent will sometimes give some punishment to the child to rectify their behavior. So in the same way, if one doesn't fully take seriously the process of Krishna consciousness, then there may be some reaction after this life that one may take the body of an animal, and in that body one will, remembering one's past devotional practices, one's desire will increase to the point that when again he gets the human body, he will take very seriously to the process of Krishna consciousness. So, Hare Krishna, I'll just ask if there's any comments or questions. Prabhu. Oh, I got microphone.
Thank you for the nice class. Maybe you can tell us about what you're doing in Ujjain.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. What?
Filming in Ujjain.
What am I filming in Ujjain? Okay. Huh? What am I doing in Ujjain? Okay. So, actually we're here to film two things. One, Ujjain is a very holy place because Krishna accepted his spiritual master here, isn't it? You've got here Sandipani Muni, right? So Ujjain, there's a lot of auspicious holy places in Ujjain. So one film which we're going to produce is actually just about Ujjain. There's also the distinct thing about Ujjain is that it is very much tied in with time. Here you have the Mahakal temple. So it used to be that Ujjain was the place where they measured time until the British came along and moved it to Greenwich. So the British decided that they wanted time to be in England because the British are very England conscious. But in actual fact, Ujjain is the place. So around that topic, there's a lot of amazing places in Ujjain that hopefully we'll have time to film, and we'll make one film about that aspect of Ujjain. The other thing we're filming here, of course, is the Kumbh Mela. So just like last night, we went to, was it Ramgarh? We went Ramgarh, yeah, we went to Ramgarh, and we filmed they did the puja, so that was very spectacular. And then I was flying the drone around, getting some night shots of just that whole area, all the lights and the lights rippling off the water. It's very, very beautiful scenery. So each day I think we'll be going out, we'll be getting footage of the camps and all the different activities that are going on in preparation for Kumbh Mela. And then at the temple site, if you visit there now, there's this huge circular building, these ones that were made with bamboo and cloth around, and it looks like a little bit like Prabhupada's Samadhi. It's got this beautiful dome and a kalash on the top, and all around there are these golden personalities with upraised arms or playing musical instruments. So inside that building there's going to be a dome, and that's where these films are going to be shown. And then after Kumbh Mela, the dome is going to be disassembled and it's going to be brought here to the temple, and it's going to be, we're not sure where yet because it's very big. It's going to be at this side? Okay. So it's going to be installed here, so that'll become a permanent fixture of the Ujjain temple, as you'll have this beautiful, unique theatre, and there'll be special content developed to show in that theatre. And I think I can safely say that you all here are so very fortunate working under His Holiness Bhakti Charu Maharaj. The facility you've got here is so incredible. You've got this land, you've got this beautiful temple, you've got the most gorgeous deities. You've got guest houses and you've got accommodation. Maybe someone will come along and buy this building for the devotees, and then you'll have a whole devotional shopping mall. And you're going to have this dome theatre. It's like, it's such incredible facility you've got here. I just wanted to add that when I went to India first time in 1986, I went to Vrindavan. I spent the whole month of Kartik in Vrindavan, and they have the VIHE, Vrindavan Institute for Higher Education, and so they had these different courses, and I took 2 courses with Bhakti Charu Maharaj. One of them was Vaishnav etiquette, and one of them was Vaishnav cooking. And even today I can just think about it, and I can remember being there with Maharaj. I can remember some of the things he said. I can remember some of the preparations he showed us cooking in the kitchen, and it was just such a nectar experience. I have so much love and respect for Maharaj. He's such a wonderful Vaishnava. He's serving Srila Prabhupada so sincerely, and so he thinks big, you know. He does so much preaching, it's just incredible. So yeah, I think I feel a little envious. You've all got such a nice facility here. You know, you might be brahmachari one day, you might decide to get married. Well, you can just live just 100 meters away. You don't have to, like in Auckland, you know, sometimes your devotees driving 45 minutes, 1 hour across town just to get to the temple. And then by the time the class is finished, they have to go home. There's so much traffic jam, it might take 90 minutes to get home. And here you just walk. Such a nice facility. Okay, so anything else? Thank you very much. My hearing's not really...
No, I was just saying, thank you for sharing such wonderful realizations. And it's very nice to hear your impression about Ujjain. And yes, we do feel very fortunate to be here. But just to add to that, I wondered whether you had the chance to see the three main projects that run here, the altar project, the Murthy project, and the deity dress project. Have you had the chance to see them yet? We have three projects. So the altars you see here are all made here.
The altars are made in Ujjain?
The altars are made here. Srila Prabhupada is made here. We have a Murthy project. And the dresses are also made here.
Yeah, my wife and I, we're living in, currently living in Auckland, New Varshan. And recently they announced that they want to gold plate the altar. And when I originally heard this, I thought, what a crazy idea. You know, why would you want to gold plate the altar? But when I come here, I understand. It just is so beautiful. It really is. It just... and Prabhupada, you know, that's just out of this world. His Yasasan, it's just incredible. So it's helping me to appreciate things about the way other devotees see the importance of devotional aspects and worshipping Krishna, because I have probably a lot more conservative, and you know, I'm like, why waste all that money on the altar when, you know, we need to repair the road, or we need to do this, or we need to do that, but this is the vision they have, and if they set their minds to it, then they can fulfill that. So yeah.
It is only
So Prabhuji here is asking that that I'd mentioned that Krishna, we have like so many sinful reactions, and sometimes something happens to us, and the Bhagavatam says that, you know, we think about this, that we're just getting a token of the reaction that we're actually due. So he's asking, he's not thinking like this at the moment. How can he think like that? Is that right? Okay. So how long have you been in the temple? How long have you been in the temple? Huh? 6 months. So in 6 months, we can't learn everything. Unless we're Bhakti Charu Maharaj. He's a special case. So it's like, you know, you're young. I wouldn't like to see you suffering, but just because we have a material body means we're going to suffer. I once heard that, how do you know that you're not perfect in Krishna consciousness? Does anyone know? There's a really simple test that you can do every single day that you can find out if you're perfect in Krishna consciousness. You want to know what it is? So when you get out of bed in the morning, you go into the bathroom and you look in the mirror, and if you see a material body, you're not perfect in Krishna consciousness. One day you'll go into the bathroom, you'll see a spiritual body. Then you know. So while we've got this material body, we don't know how many times we've taken birth, we don't know what species we've been. The Bhagavatam says 8,400,000 different species. that means the living entity has 8,400,000 different kinds of desire. He has the desire to fly. He has the desire to stand still like a tree. So many different desires the living entity has, and Krishna fulfills all those desires with a different body for each desire. And the senses it's described are grouped around the mind. So the mind has got the propensity to enjoy, just like here, Bharat Maharaj is saying, my mind is like a cunning hunter. So the mind is always looking, where can I enjoy? Can I enjoy this? Can I enjoy that? That's the tendency of the mind. And the process of Krishna consciousness will gradually bring us to the point where we'll be looking and we'll saying, how can I engage this person in Krishna's service? How can I engage this particular thing in Krishna's service? See? And when that will gradually increase more and more, and when it gets to the point where we never for 1 second think about me, what I want, how can I satisfy my senses, then we're attaining the platform of perfection. And even we attain that platform of perfection, it doesn't mean that we won't suffer. It doesn't mean we won't suffer. Just like when Srila Prabhupada was, I think it was in Delhi, and he was going about his business serving Krishna, and one day he got gored by a bull or a cow. Anyway, he was injured badly, and he fell down on the ground, and I think nobody came to help him. Right? So if something happens to you and people rush to help you, that can mitigate the suffering, isn't it? It's like when a child falls over and bangs his head, and the parent immediately grabs the child, oh, my poor baby, and rubbing the head and like that. So that helps to mitigate the suffering. But when something happens to you and there's nothing to mitigate the suffering, like say you're a child and you're away from everyone and you fall over and hurt yourself, there's nobody there. So who do you take shelter of? Yeah. So that's like extra mercy, isn't it? Krishna's arranging a situation where there's nobody else. There's no mother, there's no father, there's no friend. There's only him. He's the only person. I remember an experience when I was a child, and I was with some friends, and we were walking along the face of a cliff. There was a thin track, you know how you get like on a mountain? And so we're walking along this, a group of us, maybe 4 or 5 young boys. And so we came to a point where the track had got taken away. And it was maybe, I don't know, maybe a meter. There's no track, it's just straight down. And so all the other boys in front of me, they just jumped across and they carried on. And I remember standing there and thinking, can I do this? I wasn't sure. But they'd already gone. They'd gone round the corner. And I was standing there on my own. And I jumped and I slipped. And I felt myself starting to slide down the cliff. Right? Just not like way down, but starting to slip down. And I remember grabbing with my hands and calling out God. Right? Because there was no one else. There's no good mum, dad, brother, sister. So sometimes Krishna puts us in a situation where it's like from our inner being, this call, because that's the original, it's our constitutional position, is to depend on Krishna. So he puts us in a situation where from the depth of our being, we call out to God, make that connection. So that's like, in some ways you can see like extra mercy. So getting back to the point is that there will always be, no matter how advanced we are, or we're sannyasi or brahmachari or grihasta or vanaprastha, because we have a material body, there will always be some suffering. It has to be. And suffering has to be there because, just like Bharat Maharaj, whose choice was it to think about the deer? Did the deer say, you have to think about me? No. He himself, he did that. He said, he took that, he made that choice himself. And because he made that choice, then there was a reaction for it. So in the same way, we made the choice coming to the material world. We made the choice. So there has to be some reaction for that. Has to be. So then, if we can just try to think that when some misfortune happens to us, and we think, this is nothing. I should have suffered, I cut my finger, I should have cut my hand off. And then, on the other side, when something good happens, we don't think, let's just see how intelligent I am and how amazing I am, that, I did all this service for so many years and now it's all coming back and it's all because of me. No, we don't think like that. That's the materialist way of life. The materialist also thinks when something's bad is happening to me, it's God's fault. It's not my fault. God caused it. And when something good happens, materialist thinks, just see how amazing I am. But the devotee thinks the opposite. When there's some suffering, he thinks, I should have suffered so much more, but Krishna's just giving me a little bit. And when something's happening very good, then we're thinking, wow, see how merciful Krishna is. I don't even deserve this, and yet he's providing all this facility, or he's providing so many things for me. Is that all right? You ask again after 1 year. Hare Krishna. Microphone.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for a wonderful class. So, what are the two places shown from England, that Hari Hari or from New Zealand? No?
What other places?
What are the two places you mentioned from New Zealand? No?
Yes. Hari Hari, Rama Rama.
So, in this regard, I just want to speak some words. Like in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada, he expounded very lucidly and very explicitly that when Kshatriyas, they were killed 21 times by Parshuram. So some of them escaped from India to the western countries like Europe and some other countries, and that's what their original civilization began. And actually, originally they are from India. And when Sadapata Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, when he made video on Vedic cosmology, so he went to South India, and there is one scholar from Ramanu Sampradaya. So he kind of drawn, one world map, and he showed like this, that even this modern India was extended up to like North America, South America, Australia, and then South Africa, and some parts of Europe. So that's what, like as you mentioned, there are two places, Hari Hari and Ram Ram. So originally all the, all these parts of this world, land was included, even this, modern India. And as we know about modern India, it's not, only extended up to this, Kashmir and all the way from South India. Even at the time of Emperor Ashoka and Chandragupta Maurya, this modern India was extended up to even Afghanistan, and all the way when he, defeated and went up to Greek even, and that's what even the